Here we are, Tara. Welcome finally to Casual Space.
Thank you so much for having me. I am beyond excited that I get to be on your Wicked Awesome program.
You're wicked awesome. I
I
can't
know you're
wait.
wicked awesome.
Oh my gosh, it's been like, okay, so I've met you more recently in my career. And then I don't know why we haven't known each other like all the time because every path you've taken, I'm so envious. I'm like, oh, she did this amazing thing in her military career. Oh, she's been a leader. She's done the space camp thing. Now you've had this incredible Arctic expedition. Where do you want to start?
Wow. Well, can I start by saying I don't know how it's only been recently that we've crossed paths because
I know.
likewise, I feel like all of our friends know each other, all of our
Yeah.
colleagues, we have you in common. So I'm
Oh,
just so grateful that last summer I got to hug you finally. And then
finally,
to
we
see you
hugged.
recently at the Analog Astronaut Conference
It
was
was so
just
fun.
spectacular.
That was so fun. Thank you for sharing there. And that was so fresh. How long have you been back now?
I have now been back from Antarctica for about 5 months.
Oh,
And
welcome
there are
back.
days where I feel like it's still like returning yesterday. And then of course more reality sets in that okay, I am very much definitely back into the flow of more
Yeah.
regular life.
Oh my gosh. Now you're from the East Coast originally.
I am a proud native of Fitchburg, Massachusetts. I
Oh,
was actually born in Derry, Northern Ireland. Well, my mom
really?
and dad were, my dad was in the US Navy service up in Londonderry, Northern Ireland. And
Oh,
I came along in their journey while over there. And so I am a proud uh, Irish American, hold the
nice.
passports to prove it. And it's always been a fun bragging right because we live just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. My family is Irish by descent from
Yeah.
County Mayo, Ireland, but I've always been the card carrying member of the Irish nation. So it's
Oh,
been fun for me that,
official.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, I'm official, people. Uh-huh.
exactly. And
That
if I
is
can
so
say
cool.
this, it does have some influence when we might enter a certain establishment and people find out you're from Ireland. One or two complimentary drinks might come their way, which is a
I'm
lovely
sure.
perk.
I'm
So
sure. I would not want to go toe to toe with you. Okay, so let's just get this question out of the way before we go any further.
okay.
Because my whole point of this was to see why a person would want to go spend so much time in the cold, but you're from a place where that weather is normal, just like I'm from the Midwest. So there's that. But
There's that.
our Guinness, is a Guinness meant to be served warm or cold?
Oh, any way possible is
Oh,
my official answer.
okay.
But I would tell you what I know of the official story is warm. Warm has always been the way it was first, and it's only been
Yeah.
recently that there's a specific temperature to which to chill it. And more importantly, I think there's a perfect way to pour it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the brewmasters in Ireland at the storehouse have told us to take your draft can or bottle and turn it all the way upright, let it
Down the
come
throat.
straight in. Don't tip the glass and try to
Oh,
pour it in.
don't.
No, no, just
Great.
right straight down, let it percolate up to the top, and that
Because
would
it's
be ideal.
because it's coming from you, Tara. I believe it.
I believe it too. So thank you for believing in me. And make sure you let it sit for like 2 minutes, I think they said.
Really?
Yeah. I'm
So
just saying.
even pouring it like that in the head is part of it
Yep.
will come.
It'll
Oh, okay.
settle down and it'll be perfect.
Huh. I'm gonna try this. I am
Yeah.
gonna try it. And then I'm gonna put you on
I,
FaceTime because I'm gonna
that's
be like,
right.
look,
Let's do
am I
it.
doing it right? Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
I'm proudly from Fitchburg, Massachusetts as my hometown. I try to get back, which is where I'm coming from today. I try to get back there as
Nice.
frequently as possible. To see my family, of course, and be a wicked awesome auntie
Oh,
whenever possible. But
how
I'm also
fun.
my local school district STEM ambassador.
Oh, that is
So
so cool. Have you
I
already
come back.
gone? And well, it's not in schools in session, so are they missing you right now?
Yeah, this year
Oh,
I've missed this season, this school season, and the STEM camp season,
ah,
unfortunately. But I got to see them immediately after my trip to Antarctica, and went around to a couple of schools and
oh,
spent the whole day
cool.
with them, which I try to get back and give back to this community as much as humanly possible.
That's
Because
cool.
as I tell them all the time, if all of my teachers and community members did not believe in me when I was in kindergarten through fifth grade, I would never have felt that I could go off and do everything I had
Oh,
done in my life. And it's
oh,
really them every single turn they have said, of course, that's what you're going to do.
oh,
Yes.
wow.
And what a
Wow.
gift that is. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
try to
And
give
giving
back as
back to
much as I
community.
can.
Did you connect with them at all live when you were in Antarctica?
We didn't. We
Okay.
we had a limited number of live feed
Okay.
opportunities to do that, and the way that our season was a little bit crazy, a little bit uncertain at times, and so it was just a little bit more than I felt like I could chew
Oh,
to be able
yeah.
to
Were you
make
there
that
over
happen.
the Christmas holiday?
I
I
was,
recall. Yes.
yes, from November 1st to February 10th.
I bet your nieces and nephews really missed you then.
It was it was hard. I have the luxury that uh, my brother and sister-in-law both have professional lives. My mom goes up to their home every day and watches them
Oh,
as their grandparent. And
oh,
because of my flexible schedule, I get to call into them every day that she's up there.
oh,
And it might be for 5 minutes one day, or it could
yeah.
be for an hour, depending on what they want to show me or we do together. But even though my wife Jenny, and I are in El Paso, Texas, we have been able to grow up with them as if we're an everyday fixture in their lives. And it really makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the homecoming that I got yesterday.
Oh, yay.
It just, two sentences that came out of their mouths, which of course they're 4 and 3. So they're
Oh, they're
just
young.
really
Yeah.
getting into the groove of life. And one was, Auntie, I'm just so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
second one was, Auntie, I wish you could stay forever. And the third one was, I want to see Auntie Jenny's patients because my wife's a doctor. And
Oh.
they're like, I want to see where you work. I want to see your patients. And it was just
Oh.
adorable because that was the first time that they've inquired about more than just knowing that Auntie Jenny's a doctor. It's,
Yeah.
I want to see where you are. I want to see what you're doing. And
Wow.
it's really special.
Oh my gosh, those words. If you could hold those forever and ever. I
Yeah.
have a teenage daughter right now, so those words would be such a lovely treat. But we have a different like,
Sorry.
Mom, I'm so glad you're here. I know you're laughing because it's so funny. It's so different. Like you get through the different years and they progress and things get complicated and it's just, but
Yeah.
they're still them and they still, and being the aunt is such a gift because it's
Oh,
like
it's such a perfect role.
perfect.
I get to spoil them and then do
Yes.
what I need to do and give
Oh,
my own little wisdom. But when I went to Antarctica, we joked because I was just so excited and so honored that I got to be on the team. But I had two fears. How do you go to the bathroom on the ice?
sure.
And
I
are
can't
my
wait to
niece
hear
and
that.
nephew going to forget me?
Oh, never. No, no,
And
no.
thankfully, as a family, we decided that I could get one video call a week for a half hour each time. And so we would set up a Zoom call with me, my wife in El Paso, mom and dad in their home here in Fitchburg, and my brother and sister in law and the kids in their home in Westminster, which is just a town away from us, from my
Okay.
parents.
Oh,
And
convenient.
so we'd have all of us on one call together, and it was awesome because at least they still had the facial recognition,
Yeah.
and it made all the difference in the
Oh
world.
my gosh. And then they
So
got to see you real, like in their real time view and see
that's
where you're
right.
at.
And my,
And
and my family just kept saying, Auntie's with the penguins, Auntie's with the penguins. And that
oh,
made all the sense in the world to them. So they
oh
were great.
gosh. And they're lucky to have you, Tara, as an
Oh,
auntie.
thank you for saying that. I feel so lucky.
Well, how did it all start? When did you first learn? When did the idea of going and having this wonderful adventure begin? Was it always on your list or did it spark recently?
It started when I was 10 years old, give or take,
Wow. Okay.
to be truthful. I did two things as a little girl. The first one is my dad and I would pull out the World Book Encyclopedia and open up the pages and start reading some subject matter together.
Okay.
And there was Antarctica. And I remember in the 1984 World Book Encyclopedia, Antarctica is the coldest and most desolate region on Earth. And I'm like, I have to go there. Don't
You're
know
like,
where that came
and I'm
from.
going.
And then the second thing is he has a collection of National Geographic magazines.
Oh.
And so when we were yet little, National Geographic magazine were my bedtime stories.
Oh my gosh.
And so I would learn about the explorers and the science that was being accomplished in the most remote, harshest continent on the earth. And I'm like, I've got to go.
I love it.
Fast forward to where we are now. We moved out to El Paso to support Jenny's career as a physician. And I end up going to pursue my PhD in geology. I'm dutifully working on an assignment for one of my courses. It happens to bring up some maps of Antarctica in association with that course.
Oh.
And one of my amazing committee members is Dr. Marianne Carplus from the University of Texas at El Paso. And I sat down at my desk and I typed her an email and said, listen, I know that you have your own bank of students and that you have probably a number of people who would love to travel to Antarctica with you to execute your science. If there happens to be an opportunity in the future, please, I would appreciate if you keep me in mind. I've always wanted to go. I have some experience in remote, harsh, and extreme environments.
Yeah, you do,
and
because she does the field work and
she does.
Okay, I see.
Yep. So she had this existing project through the International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration, which is funded by the National Science Foundation.
Okay.
And it's an ongoing project for 5-6 years, depending on how COVID's really going to shake out. But I knew that she had this program already in her midst. But COVID threw a lot of wrenches in how projects get executed and who's still around to execute when things get delayed. So I'm so grateful that I signed on as an alternate, and as the season progressed, I made it to the primary team, and it just warms my heart.
Where did you learn to do that? Where did you learn to put yourself not only out? I mean, you did it in such a beautiful, graceful way that you're like, I would like to be considered, but this is my desire. And you have like you're sitting in an opportunity as a person to provide that resource, and you tie it all together so well, as if you were asking, but also informing the person, listen, the universe is telling me, and I'm just following through. You just do this.
Thank you for honoring that. First of all, Tim Bailey and I will align in this perspective. The universe conspires to give you exactly what you want or need, and then trust in that. Two, the message that has built me since I was a child, since I was in my hometown school district, is a message that I got to deliver at Space Camp as its VP, Vice President for Space Camp Operations a few years back. Every graduation ceremony, I would stand up and encourage kids to dream out loud. Because if you have the confidence in yourself to tell people who it is you want to be and what it is you want to do, you welcome everybody into your orbit so we can open opportunity and share the gifts of our own professional networks and help get you to that moment of fulfillment. And I have had the gift of knowing that I have people around me who want to help me be successful.
Wow.
And I try to pass that off to everyone that I meet and be helpful in any way that I can.
You sure do.
And so it's fun. I dreamt out loud with Marianne, and ultimately I got to be a part of her amazing team. And I'm doing that at 48, 49 years old.
Nice. Well, so, no, yeah, it's never too late. Dream out loud. I mean, put it in the universe, and then be very conscientious about what you put out there too, right?
So thank you for that. Thank you for honoring that, because it's important. It's so important, even as adults, even as adults that are well into their careers to just be transparent, vulnerable, and authentic with each other.
Yeah.
And then we get to collaborate.
Oh my
And who
gosh.
knows what it is that we're going to create together when we come with our true selves.
So I want to ask you, this is so brilliant. And I want to ask this because I follow Rob Bell. He's a pastor, he does a lot of podcasts, and he's just a great philosopher as well. And he's written books and he obviously does seminars and he's so thoughtful. Sometimes he has this wonderful quote that's in my office that I work humbly and quietly producing or making the things in the universe that I desire. And I love that. But he does talk about that there is a point where you must speak it. Like you can work it and then you keep it close to your heart because you do have to protect it. Because until it's a tangible or a deliverable or something you can produce or share, it is special. It's sometimes really fragile, right? Like you said, but then
Absolutely.
when you speak it, like you have shown, Tara, and this is such the just the best part of your story is that it's great when you can be an ambassador to your dream and you speak it. What you're really doing is in quest of you accomplishing a thing you desire, you bring people with you who either share the same desire or adore you and see your end goal so much and so clearly because it's so passionately defined that they put their goals into the universe through you as the conduit and everybody wins. And what a powerful thing to
Absolutely.
do. But I want you to talk a little bit about for you particular
Hmm.
in any case, any example, it can be Antarctica, it can be space camp. When did you know, like when you moved from your academic advisor into the reality of like, I'm going to tell my family I'm doing this. I've been, like I'm going to tell people now selectively that I'm going on this experience. It's going to take sacrifice in my life and focus. And it's going to shift me and change me. And I'm knowing this. And now I'm ready to release it because then you start bringing people to support you.
Yes.
When is that fine line? When did you know that you wanted to step across it?
The first time that I feel like I said it out loud, I was in Wadi Rum, Jordan.
Oh, oh my God. Of course. Scuba diving in like,
Yes.
oh my
We had just
gosh.
gone scuba diving in the Gulf of Aqaba as part of Mac Borderless Labs Inc.
Yes.
Uh, analog space mission.
Shout out to Mac.
Shout out to Mac because I love my brother.
Oh,
He,
incredible.
as with my experience as leading the team at Space Camp and as a geologist, he invited me and Niko Blanks, as part of the Cosmic Odyssey Scholarship, to
Shout
come
out to
over.
Nico.
Shout out to Niko Blanks, who we love and adore and so proud of. He invited us over to join him for that beautiful experience. And we had just returned from the Gulf of Aqaba.
Oh.
I think we had done some ATVing in the desert. And it was late at night when I got the medical clearance from the medical branch that said, "Congratulations, you've been approved to deploy." And it was, I feel like it was like 11 o'clock or midnight. And there was a whole bunch of women from Jordan who were surrounded, like that I was surrounded by
Uh-huh.
when I read the email, and I got to share it with them,
Oh, wow.
and that was really beautiful. So I called my wife, I called my parents, I exchanged texts with Dr. Carplus back at UTEP, and then got to share it with all of these amazing women as part of the Blink camp.
What a moment.
It was spectacular, and I was very purposeful. I, beyond those that I could see and interact with, I didn't share it widely until I returned home
Sure.
from that experience, so that I could just stay immersed
Oh, yeah.
in in that incredible opportunity, because it's Wadi Rum, Jordan.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
what a beautiful country.
Well, I can see how this is so correlated, right? You're in an extreme environment. You're
Yes.
practicing what it could be like to live both well on planet with resources and challenges, but also in the future off planet, and this is part of the analog experience. So you're
Yes.
out there doing that with a wonderful team, inspiring others as you do. And then here comes the news. And what a perfect place. It's like still protected, still sacred and meaningful because those
Yes.
people are on their own expedition and
Absolutely.
they're doing what you're about to, say yes to or get accepted into. So what a great, perfect place to share it. Like I can't think of a better place than to do an announcement with the analog community because they get it and
Yes.
they're in it and they're living it, the hardships and the sacrifices that we all understand. So, but that moment, that's
That
such a
moment.
sacred, special moment where you get the acceptance and you know what's coming. I mean, not totally all the details, but you know it and you feel it in your heart and it's bigger than you because it's a mission that's bigger than you. Okay. So you get home, you can tell family and you share, and then you start preparing. I
Yes.
cannot wait to hear how what you thought it was going to be versus what you experience. Let's talk about some of those differences and challenges, like everything from eating, sleeping, packing, and of course, the science. What fell in line and what was way out of left field that you're like, okay, that's not anything. I mean, because you're so educated and like, who reads the National Geographic as a kid? You do. Some of us did, but you do. This is so
Truth be told, I
perfect.
still do. I have 50 years of National Geographic magazines in our home library
You
because I am a
do.
lifetime member of Nat Geo.
That's perfect.
That is a fantastic question. I think the first thing I should say is, I was afraid that my niece and nephew might forget who I
Yeah.
am, and how do you go to the bathroom on the ice? Which always made me feel comical, right? Because isn't that the number one question that
Yes.
astronauts get asked, right? And
Yes.
so here I am
It's an
thinking
important
about myself,
question.
right?
It's
That
important.
turned out to be far easier than my brain had
Really?
turned it out to be.
Okay, so
Yes.
just spill it. I know
Yeah.
all the kids listening to this
Yeah.
podcast are going to want to know.
Okay. So
And
here's the
so
deal.
do I. Please don't say bucket. Don't say bucket.
Okay.
It is
I'll,
a bucket
I'll,
with
I'll
this.
change the wording a little bit. So here's the thing. Antarctica is protected space, right? So we
Yeah.
want to be extraordinarily respectful of the environment that we have the privilege of exploring, of being a part of. And so we are not allowed to actually, when we're in town, when we're at McMurdo Station and out and about, we have to urinate in a Nalgene bottle.
Mhm.
So for women, we get issued a particular funnel
Uh-huh.
that can navigate its way through our undergarments, and then we get to
Mhm.
urinate into a Nalgene bottle.
Sure.
That was really helpful and really helped me a lot.
Uh-huh.
When we got out to Thwaites Glacier, that was a little bit of a different story. So we are in an accumulation zone of a glacier, which means over the course of a year, snow and ice fall. So what we do, so we have a slightly relaxed standards, but we in only one way. We're allowed to go to the bathroom on the ice, but in a designated area.
Okay.
And that designated area is within a tent that we gather some ice, we melt it to water, we heat that water and boil it,
Okay.
and then we put it into like one of the orange pumpkin athletic Gatorade type
Okay.
containers,
Okay.
coolers. We
Yeah.
fill that up and then we dump it over and we use it like a hot water drill and it melts through the ice.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it creates like a small, pipe
Okay.
of opportunity. And we place a wooden box over top of it
And there you
and
go.
a toilet seat made out of carved insulation.
How many times have you told this story? How many times? Because you've said it so perfect. Your words are so selectively perfect. And I'm also laughing because do you know Brandy Nunez?
I do. I
Of
don't know
course.
that I've ever met her like
Oh,
in person.
yeah. At Analog Astronaut Conference, you saw her. She was
Oh,
running
okay.
around. She was doing the music and everything else. Brandy
Yes.
and I were together in our Hawaii high seas expedition, and she
Uh-huh.
and I got the lucky, honored, thoughtful job task to, because just like the glacier, Hawaii's island is sacred and everything you take in must be taken out. So Brandy and
Absolutely.
I literally took our full bag of excrement from the
Yes.
facility to the end of the after the analog to the place in which it would be stored until we would travel down from the volcano down to the bottom of the mountain and dispose of it. So if you've ever had to trash bag feces, especially for your crew and team, it's a really awesome, humbling. And I've used the funnel, which, yes, is super helpful, especially in the middle of the night when you can't see. And God, it must have been freezing. And who could
Yes.
fumble with this
In
stuff?
the middle of the night, I would, because we have to stay so hydrated, right? Because Antarctica is the world's largest desert. And so we're working really hard. And so you have
Wow.
to stay hydrated the whole day. So by the time nighttime comes around, I filled 2 Nalgene's each night, which is in my tent, which was lovely because at least I didn't have to get all
Yeah.
dressed up to go out to
Oh,
the
but even that,
laboratory.
just to wake up, it's one thing to wake up and you've lived in the East Coast. When you wake up in the night just to go to the bathroom, and it's that cold and you're just like, oh, you lay there for quite some time contemplating how the
It's cold.
how long you can hold it and how this is. You got to like beef yourself up to be like, I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
I
I can do
can't.
this. I can do this.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
that struggle is real, but so worth it.
so worth it. Okay, now not very serious question because
Yeah.
this is real and we're being real. Was any of that tested, or was any of that used to for testing, or not so much for human biology purposes? Like, no.
We did not have to collect ours for any type of
Okay.
testing,
Okay. Some
but
are. So I thought I'd ask.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Because then it seems a little more, it's like, well, for science, but now, but you did plenty of other science. So let's get into some of the science that
absolutely.
you did.
I'll
And
say that's where I'm glad I'm a geologist and not a biologist. So yeah, we every night when I was finished with my Nalgenes, I would place them in my boots,
oh,
and so that the urine wouldn't freeze. And then when I got up in the morning, I dumped them in their appropriate location. So
yeah. Okay. That's,
yeah,
this is part of anyone who's
it
been
is. It's part of
camping and exploring.
exploration, right? We
Mhm.
have to know that we can take care of ourselves and
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Let's get into some of the other science that you did. So, were you there for your particular purpose to do some of the academic and research field work, or were you there for the bigger mission, or a little bit of both for the
Uh,
science part?
almost exclusively, I was there in support of other colleagues' science.
Wow.
So it was just a unique opportunity for me to have that explorer spirit opportunity and get out there and do something in another scientific way and just enjoy being part of a crew.
Did you feel a little pressured too?
I
Like, oh my
did
gosh.
because I had to learn about a lot of things that I didn't know before.
Ooh.
And I think that's a great way to challenge yourself.
Mhm.
I hope I never show up and know all the things all the time. And so being able to show up with a group of colleagues and be able to authentically say, I don't know all of the specifics of what you know in your head and are integral to this mission, but I can learn. And I
Yeah.
want to be a good crewmate and just teach
Awesome.
me what I need to do because I'm open to all that you have to share. It turns out that what the science we accomplished could really benefit me and some of my future research.
Oh,
So
good. Like what?
our team, our teams laid out the largest array of seismometers in the history of Antarctic exploration and scientific achievement.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we laid out in our particular venue out on Thwaites Glacier 447 seismometers. And then in our camp, we laid out another 10 seismometers. And so
Wow.
8 people deployed 457 seismometers, and it was pretty amazing. Why that's important to me is I am investigating through my own research how we can use a similar seismic array both here on Earth, on the moon, on
Oh,
Mars, to understand the human influences of our presence on other planetary bodies and here at home. So having deployed
Can you
407 is a lot
That's
in
a
the
lot.
world of seismology for many researchers, certainly at this stage of my own career. So
Wow.
there's an analog for me, especially with each of those two different networks, to better understand how did the movement of our snowmobiles impact, what kind of impact did that have on the seismometers? What kind of noise can we see? What kind of sound waves can we see that have penetrated the earth because of it? And we think there's a lot of great parallels to what that's going to be, especially on the moon, now that we're in the Artemis generation. Because as soon as we go back to the moon, this time to stay, all of our human impact, all of our human presence is going to have an impact. And I think it's really important that we have seismometers up there in dedicated locations so that we can better understand how that plays.
Okay.
So I went in total support of just the team and what the team needed to accomplish for the science mission. And lo and behold, it turns out that there could be some great application for what I want to do down the road with some of my colleagues.
Well, that is perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
And remind all of us listening what a seismometer measures.
Absolutely. So if you've ever watched an earthquake movie, right, you've got when the earthquake happens, you'll see the needle run up and down on a piece of paper or on a computer screen, looking at how the waves are traveling through the earth.
Okay.
And that tells you how strong of an earthquake that might be. We're doing the same thing out. We can use the seismometers for many other applications, and we use them on the ice to better understand how waves pass through the ice, because even ice moving against itself will create enough of a wave that you can determine the size of it using a seismometer.
Incredible. Tara, I was this many years old when I learned that there are moonquakes.
Yes, there are moonquakes, there are Marsquakes, there are earthquakes. And I am super excited. It's where, I still feel like a little kid. I'm still learning so much. I'm 50 years old. I'm coming to geology in these last few years. I've been a geoscientist all of my life, but I'm just in love with how this science can help us as we start building our lunar communities and then our Martian communities, so that we have a better understanding of where to locate all of our infrastructure, so that when rockets are taking off and landing,
we can know.
Or we're starting to, explore resources up there, that we have a better understanding of what the wave, what the moonquake might look like. As waves are traveling through the.
Okay.
So there are moonquakes, there are Marsquakes.
So amazing. I know. Who knew? I was this many years old. Which is harder, working towards your PhD, or doing some of these extreme exploration expeditions? Because wow, they're so different. Which is harder? Or
working towards my PhD is definitely harder for me.
And what made you decide to do that?
So I graduated from the United States Air Force Academy, and as its top grad, for my department, which was geography. Thank you. I worked really hard when I was a cadet, and I really appreciate my department seeing me in that way. But two things happened. They gave me a life membership to National Geographic magazine. So, I was over the moon about that.
They knew you.
They just knew who I was. And then the second thing is that they sent me to graduate school.
Oh, wow.
Immediately upon my graduation. And not only did I get to earn my master's degree at a very young age, but that set me up to come back to the United States Air Force Academy to be a professor in my later part of my career.
Okay.
Now, life happens, right? When you have all these great pathways of what's gonna proceed. I was medically retired from my Air Force career at a young age. And once you come out back into the civilian world, you need your PhD
Oh,
to
I
go
see.
back and teach.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And my career didn't permit me the opportunity to just focus and hunker down and make earning my PhD a reality. But I have always wanted to go back to the Air Force Academy to be a professor. So when this awesome opportunity came up for my wife, um, a, a strange series of events happened, with the universe conspiring to give me exactly what I needed and
Oh,
wanted.
it does.
And I started at the University of Texas at El Paso for my PhD in geology, with kind of emphasis in lunar geology, planetary geology, field geology. And I'm just over the moon because my principal goal with earning this is simply to be able to be competitive, to go back to the Air Force Academy and be an instructor, but more importantly, to help that amazing institution create the next generation
Mm.
of leaders of character and those young men and women who want to go off and serve our country and all of our partners throughout the world. So
Yes.
that's my motivation for going back to
I'm
school.
so glad to hear this because, it's like, who do you want as a teacher, as an instructor? Well, someone who's been there. So, Air Force, check. Someone who loves what they do, check. Someone who brings others along and encourages them, check. But also someone who's in the field,
Yeah.
someone who can really reference things and say, okay, this is the hardship or this is the challenge. I know I've been there, because that just brings so much more richness to, like, when you're, the classroom setting is amazing. So many things happen there. Transformations are made, but bringing in the field work and the exploration of, like, what's really hard is when you can have to find the situation out in the field. It's 10 times harder and it's not as easy to measure, and all the things that make it come alive from the academic perspective that is foundational and super important. But then the classroom and the right professor and academic teacher makes the difference. So,
Well,
are you
thank
teaching
you.
now along the way as you're earning?
I am.
Yes.
I am so grateful that my principal advisor on my committee is an amazing colleague and friend, and his name is Dr. Jose Hurtado, and he allows me to do a lot of co-teaching with him
Mm.
as a teaching assistant, and he knows my aspirations. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that he provides to me, and it gives me an incredible vantage point into young professionals starting out their careers, trying to figure out what their place is in the world, and take them out to the field.
Well, you're a
And
natural mentor. So this isn't exactly like difficult for you to step into this, right? At all. And
I do love this very
you
much.
do. I could tell your face says it all. And okay, so I want to tie this all back with the thread that is Space Camp, that is
Oh,
such a I tell everyone, like, I had the fortunate opportunity to work at NASA, but before
yes,
NASA, where it was okay, so NASA is mission focused. The military, the Air Force, right, is oftentimes mission focused, but mission is only successful when everyone works together to accomplish it, right? So there's a lot of teamwork and a lot of, I am not holier than thou. All of us bring our talents and skills, and that's what's going to be necessary for success. And until,
absolutely.
and right, and until you're in a situation like that, and so many people in the world, they don't necessarily have that opportunity or that experience. Military is one, NASA is one, but Space
Base
Camp
camp.
was my first. And when I had that, the bug bit me, and I'm like, eating, sleeping was not, it's right, those priorities, like natural Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're gone, because
God,
you're like, listen, I'm only here at Space Camp for a few days, and I'm going to make
yes.
those days count. There's a ton to learn, there's a ton to experience, and there's a mission at hand. And I'm not kidding when I say you don't sleep and you barely eat. but there's but because you're so mission driven and focused, and it's fun, and you know that your part of the mission is as important as the next person's. And if you've never had that, and Space Camp gives you and provides that, it's eye opening, it's life changing, it's unforgettable. And you can apply apply that, even though it's space based, but you can take that and apply that to other missions in your life.
Absolutely.
And so I can tell that, tell me how Space Camp what found you and you found it, and then ultimately how you became VP to bring that mission to so many kids who has changed lives. And I know so because I was standing next to you last year at the board meeting when we had some wonderful young ladies. I'm thinking of one in particular who made it a point to come find you and say, you know what you've done for me? You know what Space Camp has done for me? And now she's going to the Air Force. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I
And she's
do.
like, okay. So until we have her on the show, I don't want to put names out there, but we saw her at Yuri's night. I got to meet her mom. She's just a focus driven young lady, but she's got Space Camp as her foundational, right? To like,
Absolutely.
okay, so how'd you get there
Oh,
to Space
and
Camp?
what great timing of this, since I just returned from the Space Camp alumni reunion weekend and a Space Camp Hall of Fame weekend, and just being down amongst all of the amazing professionals who make the U.S. Space and Rocket Center what it is today. And boy, is it beautiful, and is it doing things. I'm just so proud of
The new
all of them.
building? You got to
They
see it?
are. It was spectacular,
Oh,
like absolutely spectacular. I'm just so happy to know that the team has this amazing resource now to serve all of our trainees that now come through the doors. So
thank you, Jared Isaacman. Come on.
absolutely, all of the things that
And
went
donors.
into building it, it's just
Yeah.
really really something special. Like so many grads or alumni of Space Camp of my era, um, Space Camp the movie is how I found Space
Yeah.
Camp. At the end of it, I watched it with my parents, my family, and at the end of it, of course, I was enthralled with the movie in and of itself. But the end of it, it said filmed on location at U.S. Space and Rocket Center or U.S. Space Camp or something in Huntsville, Alabama. And I turned to my parents and I
You were
said,
like,
"Wait, this is real?" And that changed
yes.
everything in my life.
Yeah.
One of the lead characters wanted to go off to the Air Force Academy and be a pilot, and I'm like, that's who I want to be. That's exactly what I want to do. And so, knowing at a young age that representation, that seeing someone do what you want to do,
Oh,
really
yeah.
mattered. And so, I bugged my parents for another year to save my babysitting money and to figure out a way. We were living in New Jersey at that time. I coerced one of my double good girlfriends to fly down to Huntsville with me, and we did Space Camp
Oh
together.
my
She's
gosh.
still one of my double good girlfriends, which was really surreal because she went on and she was recently the president of a Rotary Club, and I got to be her guest speaker.
You're like, you could tell this story too. You were with me. You were
Yeah,
there. Oh my
it was
gosh,
really
Jared.
fun. So
So Space
I
Camp
made
was
my way to
before the Air Force.
what's that?
Space Camp was before Air Force.
It was. So I was in eighth grade when we went to Space Camp, and
Excuse me.
no
Sorry.
worries. No worries.
Okay, go ahead.
And it was well, it was just awesome.
So the
And
movie is like, I'm going. Because again, you
yes,
put things into the universe. You're like, oh, now I'm connecting the dots. There's a real place that I need to be at. Put
I've
me
got to
to.
go there because I have to train. And
Yeah.
in my mind as a young girl, when I submit my NASA astronaut applications, I want them to see that I went to space camp. I want them to see that I have committed to training already, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I went to space camp. And when I got there, it was everything I hoped it would be and so much more. And I also blame it for my focus on needing to go to every gift shop at every organization or event because
Wait, what?
I wanted all of the swag
Oh,
so
yeah.
I could represent space camp because I was just so proud
Yeah.
of going through it. I was away from home for the first time. My science and math and engineering and technology brain was on fire, and I just loved every moment of it.
You
I
found
can
it.
remember getting my wings pinned on me, and my crew trainers, my camp counselors, telling me go off and do great things, and I believed them.
Yeah.
Like I felt that I was ready to go to pursue the rest of my life. And my next stop was the United States Air Force
There it
Academy.
is.
And
Oh,
and
wow.
from that, my whole career. So everything I am dates back to space camp and being nurtured as a young girl for what I wanted to go off and do in my life. Jenny and I and my parents were vacationing. Oh, I should back up. I had served on the parabolic flight team, the Zero Gravity Corporation parabolic flight team, as both a coach and a flight attendant, and also on the research team.
Okay.
I was on a flight in Seattle when a conversation was happening in our post-flight experience. My wife was also a crew member, and she sat down with this particular table of our wonderful clients. And as we often do, we'll ask the clients, how did you come to zero G? And this young woman says, I say young because she's my age and,
Yeah, we're young.
enough.
Yeah.
And she says, well, I once went to space camp. Jenny puts her food down, stands up across the room and says, Tara, space camp. I came running across the room. You would have thought we were best friends from another lifetime ago. It was just beautiful. And she
Yep.
hands me an alumni card. Well, she says to me, how come you're not part of the Space Camp alumni? At that time, the Rocket Center was really building its alumni system. And I said, I didn't know there was an alumni to be a part of. She hands me this business card that says, we get together every July. Come be a part of who we are. You belong there. And this was in October when we had our flight. And I met her in Huntsville the next July. And Zero Gravity let me wear my official flight suit. So I got to talk to all the kids. It was the first time in 30 years since I had been back.
Been back. Oh.
And I just had this surreal experience that now I'm a grown up walking around in an official parabolic flight suit with 5 hours of microgravity under my belt, and I was just in tears. I was my little kid self. And amazingly, later that year they elected me into the Space Camp Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And fast forward, so I'm in the buzz of, this is amazing. I can't believe I get to be amongst these colleagues, these fellow graduates. My family and I are vacationing, and I receive an email that said advertise for VP Space Camp. And I turned my phone around, and my wife said, now we had been firmly planted in Las Vegas, Nevada for 20 years.
Okay.
I turned my phone around, and she looks at it and she says, that is who you are. If they see that too, we'll move to Huntsville. And
what
so
a thing to say.
It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I navigated the selection process, and it was surreal. I had 36 family members travel in from around the world to join my family for my Hall of Fame induction. It was just beautiful and spectacular. It was all the things, all the feels in and of itself. And that happened on a Friday night. And then on Saturday morning at our annual town hall meeting, the CEO of the Space and Rocket Center announced that I had been selected.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just, everyone should receive a dream job opportunity like that with all of your family and friends and colleagues that you love and respect.
Oh, they did that at the Hall of Fame ceremony?
Yes.
They hired you at the Hall of Fame?
At that weekend. So Friday night, they inducted me. And then Saturday morning, I was announced as the vice president of Space Camp.
With your family and
with everyone around me. And I have such a privilege of being the first kid to grow up to help lead the organization.
Wow.
And it was just a spectacular time frame because we hosted the vice president of the United States and the National Space Council. It was the 50th anniversary of Apollo, and we did the Guinness World Record rocket launch and the global rocket launch. And
they had the right person at the helm.
Yeah, we had 50,000 trainees come through our red gates that year.
Wow.
it was just spectacular. And it was amazing because I felt like I not only was I serving the organization, but we were helping to increase productivity and put it in a position that regrettably ultimately COVID followed on thereafter. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
organization itself had some difficult times, but
Sure.
I'm just so proud of the organizational resilience to be what it is today, which is just spectacular. Space Camp, the US Space and Rocket Center, has never looked as glorious, and the future is just
Truly.
so bright.
And
So
thanks to
I'm so
you
excited for that.
in
And
many
I'm just so
ways.
grateful because as an Air Force officer, I've been trained to be a servant leader all of my career. And to be able to serve 1,000 men and women who make the Rocket Center happen, to be able to meet so many trainees and their parents and all of their educators, it was such a gift in my own life
And we
that,
talked about this privilege that you had week after week after week. We talked
yes,
about it last year a little bit at Cosmic Odyssey, where you drop off a kid and they're a very different person than when they walk out underneath those red gates. And you're like, and I mean, we've been those kids, right? We show up and
yes,
we're full of ambition and questions and uncertainty, but what's coming, but excitement. And then it's almost like the privilege of seeing that from your
yes,
perspective, going through it as one perspective, but seeing it week after week after week can
yes.
only be the most inspiring, amazing privilege. I want to bring it all full circle and ask you this.
Okay.
What was foundational at Space Camp that may have served you through the very harsh challenges of your service time in analog in Antarctica?
The importance of the crew concept,
Yeah.
that
Wow.
everyone has a place on your team and everybody's place on the team matters to mission success. It is so important to always honor your crewmates, to be transparent, vulnerable, and authentic with them, to show up as who you are and allow them to show up also, especially on a long expedition.
Mm.
Everyone's going to have their own ebbs and flows. Same thing happens in a condensed format at Space Camp. Some people are going to click with some concepts immediately. Some people are going to lag behind. But if we all come together and move it as one crew, we get the mission done. And the same thing happened to me out on the ice. I'm in awe of how much that experience at Space Camp allows you to just walk into an unknown territory,
Yeah.
know that you are with qualified, capable professionals, in this case, kids, but professionals in Antarctica, and that you're all focused on the mission. We have a specific purpose. We have to achieve it. We all get trained to achieve what we have to do, and all we have to do is our best.
That's it. That's the magic of Space Camp. When people ask, when people see our infectious spirit, enthusiasm about this thing we did once in our lives that has played forward for years and years
Years.
after, that we just like, I mean, I've come back to serve, you went back to serve. We've all like, for those of us that were truly moved and imprinted by it, the magic is what you said. It's exactly so well presented by what you just said, which is that you're part of the mission, you're part of the crew, and it's in a place that allows you to do so. And so you
Yes.
almost have to step out of your academic world and out of the school and out of, from us, for me at least, I speak for myself only, where in the Midwest of the Chicago suburbs, I say this all the time growing up, we had some science institutions. I didn't know, my parents didn't know to take me to a planetarium or like a, because who knew that this would be the thing with me that would stick, right? You send your kids to all kinds of activities and explorers and, but we didn't have coastal huge rocket launch facilities. We didn't
That's
have
right.
museums. We didn't have these things here in centrally located. So for me to go to a safe place where that could be 100% of my focus. And then the mission challenge that came with it was like, and still is like many ways, except for NASA, like no, and now analogs, no other experience that I can either, that I can share where that can happen. And that's the magic. I think when the parents see this kid walk through those red gates, they're going to be transformed in a
Yes.
truly unique way. And when you said, the adults, and for you to go and continue this circle of a pattern where now you're going out in the field and challenging yourself, and you went into the Air Force and did it. And now you're going to go back into the classroom and bring your experiences, but bring the crew along with you and
Mhm.
share those expectations for the mission success. What a life.
Thank you. Like I had this really beautiful moment where I volunteered to help one of my crewmates in Antarctica accomplish some science and that I didn't know anything about, but I wanted to learn. And we went out on our snowmobiles on the Ross Ice Shelf of Antarctica, and I'm I'm riding along at the base of Mount Erebus, southernmost volcano in the world. It's a beautiful blue sky day. Erebus is venting spectacularly. And I was riding along thinking it was just a few weeks ago that I was ATVing in Wadi Rum, Jordan.
Just a
And
few
now
weeks.
I'm snowmobiling at
Do you even
McMurdo
have time to
Station in
pack?
Antarctica. And how amazing is that? How beautiful is that? What a privilege is that? And I can say to you that it was one of those most fulfilling moments of what I have shared with tens of thousands of kids and adults around the world is always have confidence yourself to dream out loud and welcome us in, because when you do, beautiful, spectacular, wicked, awesome things can happen that some people can only dream of. And it's such a gift to be able to have represented the US Antarctic Program and the National Science Foundation, to still be an ambassador for SpaceKind through its Hall of Fame and its alumni ranks. And I'm just so grateful.
I am
And
too.
I'm
I'm
just so
grateful for
thankful. So
you
whoever's
too.
out here listening, can I just say a huge thank you to you and all of the different roles that you've played for me in my life to help me be who I want to be and do the things I want to do, because you just keep filling me up and it makes me want to do more for others and to be more for others and to be present for others. And it's just one big universe that we are co-creating, and our energy fills it. And so let's keep filling it with amazingness and positivity. And I'm just going to say wicked awesomeness.
Well said. So, Tara, what's next?
That's a great question. Here it is. I've been
Rest.
trying to craft this for the kids at home, right?
Right, please.
Being in the field is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I love it. I know that's my spirit. I can't wait. I'm putting out to the universe that I'm going to be a lunar explorer still. I may not be an astronaut yet, but the key word in that sentence is yet.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, oftentimes, as we know in school, you got to hunker down and you got to get the research written and the data condensed and you got to write the papers and you got to focus. So I am trying to focus on the completion of my dissertation right now. And that feels
Good.
like a big task for
It
me.
is.
And
It is.
I want to earn this degree. I want to be an amazing representative of the University of Texas El Paso, because I know that this opportunity is going to carry me long into the future. And I'm excited.
It's
I
a
want to be in the
challenge.
field, no doubt.
Yeah,
I want to
I
be
hear
doing
you.
things.
I know. And from Jordan to the Arctic, oh my word. And so, but this is a challenge. And sometimes it's as hard to sit still as it is to be in the environments that inspire us, because we get to step out of our mundane everyday, tasks. But the research counts, the data is important. Everything you're going to accomplish to earn that degree and then bring it back into the classroom. We're behind you, Tara. We're all
Thank
supporting
you.
you in our own unique way through thoughts. And when you have those late nights and you're struggling, you got to do the dissertation. You've got a community of folks. You could just put that out there on social or wherever you want to be, and we'll support you and give you our energy, because this is like the hard haul. I
It is.
I know. I mean,
Thank
I don't
you.
know. I don't have a PhD program active right now, but I get it. It's tough stuff. So we are with you the way you've been behind us. So
Oh,
let us know how we can help. Let the listeners know of the podcast. Please let us know where we can find you and support your work, whether it's just to see you and give you that cup of coffee when needed, or anything else we can do to follow you and your adventures.
awesome. Well, my principal platform, because of I'm not always co-located with my family, is Facebook. So
Okay.
Sweeney TL is my handle at Facebook. That is the best. Of course, grown-ups can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I do have a Twitter, Instagram presence under Tara Sweeney or Tara L Sweeney as my handles, but principally Facebook is the best.
Okay. All right. Well, here we are wishing you the best of luck as you have to do the hunker downing.
Thank you for that support.
And as we're gonna want to see those pictures and see
Absolutely.
and listen and hear. And then everyone who has ever met Tara, and if you have ever any questions about Space Camp, you can always ask her. I know she will be the advocate you've already heard, but she
Please,
can
please,
answer
please.
other questions about, like, well, what happens after Space Camp, or what can I study, or how does this work? She has always, I mean, I've seen you do this for so many, so I want to let folks know that that is what you do in such a beautiful way. So we'll
Thank you.
invite folks to do that with you as well. So please come back on the show and
I would
share
love that.
more.
I would love that. And can I just share to you, but also to those who are just listening and hearing this message of, I love you,
Don't we
and
have fun? Oh,
go on,
Tara,
do great things in your life.
love you
And
too.
I'm just so proud of you. And it's just awesome to finally be in each other's orbits. And
Thank you.
you're really amazing. And I feel like it's such a gift just to be able to have this time with you.
Yeah, that energy is infectious. So I'm going to carry this with me the whole week. I cannot wait. Yes. And on my next analog, too, you're going to be my call, because I'm going to be
Yes,
like,
please.
I'm like halfway through. How did you do this? Because there's always that, mountain to get
Yes, there's
over.
always that thing.
So thank you,
Absolutely.
Tara. Okay,
Thank
we'll
you,
see you
Pat.
on the show again real soon.
Awesome.